Hi guys, and welcome to episode 5 of the When Sat in Rosette podcast. We got the usual people on screen today. We're joined with myself, Aidan Lokman, and Ellis Christou down below. And just like always, we're going to talk all things football. Now we are recording this on Sunday night, so we've had another week of fixtures. Boys, just generally, any sort of watch any of the football this weekend? Obviously, the Man United Newcastle game's going on now, so I hope none of us are watching that, so we can actually be aware of what I'm asking. But any sort of standout games you watched either today or yesterday?
Um, but I didn't watch the full game. I've watched like the highlights. I think the two biggest upsets: the Everton win at Anfield and the West Ham today.
Yeah,
Great,
I watched.
great results.
I
Fantastic.
I saw bits of the Liverpool Everton game, but I watched the full Spurs West Ham game today, and obviously the Everton game is a huge up. Not It's not a huge upset in terms of the fact that Liverpool sort of haven't been great this year, but given that they haven't won at Anfield for 20
Yeah, for like
22 years, I think it
22.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
and something crazy like Liverpool haven't lost 4 games at home for like since 1920 something. It was a huge upset. I saw your boy, obviously Richarlison from the draft, Aiden, bagged the first goal.
what a pick,
Um,
by the way. What a pick. Scores in the third minute of the game, mate.
that
Oh
video's
my
out now,
days.
so people can go watch that and see who else you've got in your team. But what do we think of Everton? Obviously, Carlo Ancelotti started the season really well. We're hit with a few injuries. It's sort of tailed off. Ellis, what do you sort of think of them? Do you think they've got a chance of sneaking back into top 4 or finishing like fifth, maybe sixth?
Yeah, I think they've done all right. I think after the start they had the start of the season, they won like 5 out of 5, 4 out of 4. You could tell that they were going to be competing kind of in the top half of the table at least. They've had a few like inconsistent spells where they've gone on a run of losses here and there. I mean, if they don't have Calvert Lewin in their team, they look like they lack goals. Obviously, he didn't play against Liverpool and they managed to pull that one off. But I think
He
a
came
few
on.
crucial
He came on
players,
second
yeah,
half. Yeah.
yeah. I think they lose a few crucial players, they're in trouble. But as long as everyone's fit, they should be all right. In terms of top 4, no, I don't think they will get a top 4 spot, but
Yeah.
they'll definitely be challenging.
I think I agree. I think a fully fit starting 11 with them is could probably go toe to toe with most teams on their day.
Yeah.
They get their full starting 11 that they sort of have at the start of the season, but I don't think they've got the squad depth to sort of challenge. Obviously, finishing fifth is probably or sixth would be a good season for them, and then next year they can sort of build on what the squad they already have at the moment, to then obviously hopefully push for that Champions League spot. But I think we've spoke about it before. The Champions League spots it's getting tougher and tougher. Leicester, obviously, who had a good win today against Villa. That's not an
Mm.
easy game to win. Um, they're obviously now sitting in second or third, I think.
Second.
Yeah,
Second as
second.
it stands, yeah.
And then the other game where that you mentioned, Aid, West Ham went up into the top 4 again, beating Spurs. So there's a lot of this sort of teams outside the top 6 that we spoke about a few weeks ago, that are in and around that top 4. But before we sort of touch upon Spurs and West Ham, Liverpool, we got to talk Liverpool.
Oh,
They're on a sliding scale. They're
you've got to let Ellis go first. You've got to
Yeah,
let Ellis go
go on,
first on this
Ellis.
one.
What's your thoughts? What is your thoughts? Obviously, we know Ellis is completely anti everything Klopp, but what are you thinking, mate?
I mean, I don't want to say I told you so, but you know, I don't want to mention karma at all. But I'm actually really surprised, and I was really surprised about yesterday because um, their performance against Leipzig in the week was pretty spot on. Like, and I thought, oh, okay, they're kind of getting back in the form of things here. They're going to be doing well, and I predicted that they were going to win yesterday. So it's unusual. I think the whole Van Dijk situation is obviously had a massive impact on them. Jordan Henderson having to play centre back and not in the midfield, the energy in there, it's had an impact. So yeah, what can
You're
you
happy
say?
to see it, though, aren't you? You're happy to see it. You're trying to hold back that laugh.
I am happy to see it, and it's a good one for the Liverpool fans. It's nice to see the Liverpool fans moaning again, you know.
It's only been 2 seasons and then they're back to moaning. Aid, sort of agree? What do you think, mate?
No, yeah, I think Ellis has hit that one, but especially with Henderson, because a lot of people have been talking about Van Dijk, about the loss he's him out of the squad, but I think Henderson out of that midfield, because like when you think of Liverpool when they won the league that season, you thought of them just being like quick, high pressing, high aggression, everything, and like that sums up Jordan Henderson. And then for him to slot into centre half, it loses that. And people have been moaning about Thiago, about like dictating the tempo and that. And obviously two different players, Thiago and Henderson. But no, yeah, like Ellis said, it's great to see. It's great to see him moaning.
I think as well they've been quite dominant for the last like 2-3 seasons now, and like that's a long time for one certain squad and set of players to be dominant for. They have to start looking at revamping, and that's like Firmino needs a replacement. I think Salah, even though he's still been scoring and stuff, I think he's someone that they need to look to replace. I think they need new ideas in the middle of the pitch, and obviously the centre back position. But I think they need to revamp that team now, or they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I agree with
yeah.
that.
I wouldn't say replace though. I'd say get more like players that would challenge him. Like, because they brought Shaqiri in for like squad depth, but I think if they start getting like some world class players to challenge Mane, Salah, and Firmino, I think then they might start performing better.
Yeah. I think I sway more towards the thing of they might actually need to start replacing rather than just giving competition. Because like Ellis said, I think a team, what you surprised I'm agreeing with you.
A little bit, yeah.
No, because I said it at the start of the year, to be fair. I even thought last year, I thought the summer to do it was the summer that's just gone. Obviously, they probably can argue that obviously COVID hit, so they had a loss of revenue. They put a little bit of money into like adding that new stand at Anfield and things like that. But they should have had the money, or to be able, if they will have, obviously their goal is to stay at the top of the league, they need to sort of reinvest money, because no team, even all the best teams in the world that have dominated for years, have sort of slowly revamped the team over the course of the years. So even at like United, Fergie used to always say his hardest job was once they won the league, how does he get them to go again? So he'll bring in a new set of players, he'll get out what he thinks is on the way out. Now, all the front three at Liverpool are sort of the same age. They sort of peaked at the same time, which was great for them. But at some point, there was going to be a decline in performance. If maybe one of them could have still hit it, like Salah's still scoring, but it was a tough ideal for all three to stay at the top of the game. I think it's an oversight on the club to, don't get me wrong, they have been hit with major injuries that you sort of can't predict, but it is also an oversight from the club to not have a squad that can sort of handle that. If you look at City, they could probably get away with De Bruyne obviously came back from injury full properly today, starting the game, but he went out, they were fine. They got 3 or 4 centre backs, maybe not all amazing to the standard of like a Diaz or a Virgil van Dijk, but they all are good enough to step in. Where as soon as Van Dijk went and Gomez went, Matip can't stay fit for more than 2 games in a row. Then they had to bring in 2 boys this window, but once they had gone, it was Fabinho and Henderson. And if you're mounting a title, not challenge, what's the word I'm looking for?
Defense, that's the one.
If you're doing a title defense, you need a squad that can handle that to compete on Champions League front and in the league. So it's an oversight of them. But I do agree with what a lot of Liverpool fans say. They were unlucky. Like the Virgil van Dijk injury and the Gomez injury sort of had a snowball effect because, as you said, Henderson comes out of midfield and he was pivotal in that Liverpool midfield because he provided the organisations and legs. So he pushes back in. And if you look at the way they play, I think obviously all teams have to sort of know exactly what they're doing and each player has to be aware of it. But I think Liverpool more so than everyone has to be on the ball for the way they play. because for so many years it was high press and a high back line. Now, if you have a disjointed back line, like constant changes, Henderson hasn't ever played there. You've got two new centre backs coming in. You have Trent Alexander-Arnold that doesn't really defend anyway. Them trying to play offside, trying to get a high line just doesn't work. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So the injuries are a big thing, but I do think it's a huge oversight from the club, and they're gonna have to invest money, like even in that central midfield position. Wijnaldum was going to go to Wijnaldum, however you pronounce it, was going to go Barca. Thiago came in. Henderson's playing centre back. Oxlade-Chamberlain can't stay fit still. Who else do they have in there? Milner is obviously getting on a bit, so he's probably just a bit part player. Do you get what I mean? So they do need to freshen that squad up 100%. Who goes out the front three if one goes? Who would you get rid of first? Firmino. I think it would have to be, but who do you replace him with? There's not many strikers out there that I think they can get.
Yeah.
Who?
Mbappe they need to go for. They're not going to get. They're not going to get a chance to get someone like that if they need to try and sign Mbappe. I'm being dead serious. Like, they should really look into getting Mbappe from PSG. They should nip him before Real Madrid come in. I think they should.
I can't see
That'd
him.
be a huge signing for Liverpool.
I can't. No.
You can't see him playing there.
Not at Liverpool. I don't know.
Why?
You just don't. I don't know. You know when you just get like a sort of feel for a player being at a certain club. I just couldn't see it. I don't know.
Where could you see him at Real Madrid?
Yeah, because PSG are more. They're not like bigger in terms of like historically in Liverpool, but they have more sort of pedigree like in the modern game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's hard. When you're always already at a top club, it's always hard to see.
Do you think they have more pedigree over Liverpool in the modern game?
I think they're just more attractive as a club. Obviously, they got that Jordan brand. It's Paris.
Yeah.
They got all them stars, all that money. Like, compare that to going to play in Liverpool, like the actual area. You know what I mean? It's a tough one, but when you're at the top, it's hard. It's always hard to see top players move between, like, when they're already at the top, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Question. But Liverpool have a few problems. What is interesting though is that the Liverpool centre back, both of them, and Ruben Diaz. So if you look at them, they're all the same age. The Liverpool centre-backs are the same age as Ruben Diaz, and everyone's saying, oh, Liverpool bought two young centre-backs, so don't sort of ask too much of them. But then Diaz has come in at City and been
Yeah.
Mate, he was immense today against Arsenal, man. He just bossed it.
He's a good player. Good player. But
I like Diaz.
Laporte was in against Everton, wasn't he, the other day instead of him? Which is
I think he rested him.
Yeah. Just before we move on from Liverpool, let's talk about just specifically Mo Salah then. Before the Merseyside derby, Klopp said that he's kind of not underrated, but isn't given the credit that he probably deserves. So it sort of raised questions about whether Mo Salah is probably in like the top bracket of players in the world. Maybe not with the likes of Messi or Ronaldo, but with the subcategory below, like the Kylian Mbappe's that we mentioned, the Neymars, and so forth. How do you sort of think he ranks along the world's elite?
Ellis?
Oh, he shifted. He didn't want to go first.
What is that question set up for like overrated, underrated?
Yeah, it can be.
I would go in the middle, properly rated. I don't think he's overrated or underrated. I just think he's bang on. That first season he scored a lot of goals. Documentary was made about him. You know, he scores goals. There's something weird about him. He scores goals, but I don't really see anything like special. But his goal ratio, is quite high. So he's got to be up there. I mean, when you score that many goals at the highest level, won a Premier League, won a Champions League. You got to be up there. But in terms of like his overall output, I wouldn't have him up there with like the best. But I mean, credit is due for what he's done and the goals he scored. But properly rated for me.
So you'd put him sort of. You got Messi, Ronaldo, probably Kylian Mbappe, Neymar. Would you say there, or would you say one below maybe?
One below.
Yeah.
So who are
Yeah.
you seeing? Who are you seeing as like a similar level to him? Who would you put in that category with him? Is it like a Hazard?
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
Haaland?
it's like a Hazard. It's like a Bruno Fernandes. It's like
Kane or Kane
just
above him?
No, Harry Kane's in there. Harry Kane's in that level, yeah. I'd say that's the level.
Mane?
Just above
What about Mane?
Yeah, Mane's in the same level. Yeah.
Throw everyone in there. Go on, just throw them in there.
Harry Winks get in there.
Mane, yeah, he'll go in my
Aid, what do you think?
Oh yeah, go on, Aid. Sorry, man.
Just see what he says, and then we'll come back to it.
No, yeah, I do agree with Ellis there. Like, I think he's not overrated, but then I think he's not underrated either.
Hold on a minute. Wait. What is that? Try to sneak that in.
Is that a Twilight? Is that Twilight?
What, you're not a fan of Robert Pattinson?
Big Twilight.
Oh
fan.
no. Oh no.
Go on, Aid. Where were you, mate? Were you lost your train of thought now?
No, I do. No, I think I do agree with Ellis there, saying like he's not overrated, but he's not underrated either. Like I think he is. He's the credit that he's given, I think is deserved. But no, yeah, like Ellis was saying, he gets the goals and stuff like that. But his overall game, I wouldn't say he's like a Mbappe or a Neymar. Like I sometimes think like when Liverpool are having a bad game or something, I would, if I'm in the Liverpool team, I'm turning to like the Mane Salah, saying like, can you win this game for us? But I don't think Salah can do that. But I wouldn't see him pick up the ball and then go win the game. Like he relies a lot on the passes and then getting that little touch far post, getting that goal.
Mm.
Yeah, there's certain players that like when they get the ball, you're on the edge of your seat. You're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
But with Salah, you're just kind of like, yeah, not really on the edge of my seat kind of thing.
I think first season when he had the crazy go up, but he was a bit like that. Every time he got the ball, you'd think he'd score. But I think since then he's just consistently scored, but just the impact on the game isn't there to the level of some of the top players. Like, I think you can both hit the nail on the head that he does score a lot of goals, and don't get me wrong, he's a great player, but them sort of players like we've mentioned, the elite of the game, the Messi, Ronaldos, the Neymars, as soon as they get the ball, something is going to happen. Every time without fail, you sort of guarantee that it will happen. There's more times that they get the ball and something does happen, and they get the ball and something doesn't happen. If you get what I mean. There's sort of levels to the game, but
he looks a bit bored as well now.
You think?
He looks a bit bored, and I think in the summer there was a few rumors, like quiet rumors, that he was like on his way out, and it never happened. Just like, I know you want to move on, right? But if say he was to leave, where would he go? Or what's next for like Mo Salah? Like he doesn't go to like a Real Madrid or Barcelona now, surely not.
No.
Right?
I think.
But then where does he go?
Again, I think it's a tough one because Liverpool's for the last few years has been sort of the top of football.
Top club,
European champions, won the Prem. So like I just said, it's tough when they're at a top club where they go. I think he might have missed his window. I think he potentially missed his window to go Real Madrid, someone like that. Like a big club, European club. Maybe like a year or 2 seasons ago, maybe I could have seen that happening. Now I could see him being the one that stays at Liverpool the longest, and then sort of moves on from there, like to a club that are good but just not competing at the top consistently, if you get what I mean.
a Roma. He'll go back to like a Roma or somewhere like that.
Yeah, maybe potentially.
Yeah.
He might return to Italy because obviously a few sort of the top players tend move towards that league. So I'm thinking Ronaldo gone there in his later years and still scoring goals.
Yeah.
Like Salah could easily probably do that. Maybe not to the extent of Ronaldo, but that would probably be a sensible move for him. One of the Italian clubs getting him, like a AC Milan or someone. That's sort of like a
Yeah.
marquee signing. That'd be an interesting one. But moving to the big clubs, I think it's tough. I think there's players they'd rather sign now ahead of him.
Because how old is he now? Is he what, like 30?
28, 29.
I'll
Oh,
check.
okay.
I'll check. But I'll check this. But just talking about obviously the games that went on this weekend. Aiden brought up the Spurs West Ham game or the West Ham Spurs game this morning. Finished 2-1 West Ham. West Ham went into Champions League places. What are we thinking? Is Jose's time at Spurs nearly coming to an end? Or Mo Salah's 28, by the way. He's still
Yeah.
28.
That's old these days, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
For an
It is
attacker, that
prime,
is old.
man. Yeah,
Mate,
so
you see all pros now, they're all 17 years old. All the pros.
Yeah.
it's true. It's a young person sport. But yeah, Jose
Um,
Mourinho, obviously Ellis. I know you're a bit.
Yeah.
You used to be a big Jose fan. What
No,
you
I still
thinking?
am. Come on, mate. I still am. Oh, where do I start? Okay, will they get rid of him? No, I don't think they will. He's in a cup final. They seem to be doing all right in the Europa League. I think they'll watch that area. I think also like to sack him would cost them too much money, and they don't want to do that just yet.
I think that's the biggest
In
one.
terms of the league, yeah, probably, probably. Yeah. I mean, I think now he has to realize to let the players who have been on the bench play. Gareth Bale needs to be playing. Like today, when he came on at half time, he looked class, right? Did you see it? You saw it, right?
Yeah, he looked better, the best I've seen him since he's been back at Spurs. I didn't see him. I
Just
heard he was good Europa League, but I didn't see that game.
just some of his touches and like passes and movement and dribbles, like it just shows that there is a slight difference, especially in that team. Like they've been playing Bergwijn, and I haven't seen much from him at all. And then Bale comes in, and I watch 45 minutes, and I just think, oh, he looks like every time he got the ball, it looks like something might happen, or he plays a pass that's like, oh, okay, that was a good pass, created something. So I think Mourinho needs to realize that he's got to be playing. Dele Alli, I'm still not too sure of. I don't know. I just find him a bit.
I don't think he wants to be there no more. I don't think he wants to be at Tottenham no more.
Oh, do you know? Can you elaborate a bit, mate?
I don't know. No, I don't think he likes the type of manager like Mourinho. I think he likes a Poch, someone that will be like easy on him, not a Mourinho that will like give him negative. Yeah. He wants a coach to like give him the positive feedback rather than Mourinho going like seeing how he'd react from a Mourinho shouting or something like that.
I think
He's a bit soft.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's hard to sort of call from the outside. I think
Who said it's from the outside?
Yeah. Inside sources.
Mate.
From the outside, it always looks like that. Like you can only take really what's being said by the manager in press conferences and things like that. It's not football. Don't breed an environment where a player can come out and say anything. Really, they always are sort of limited. Oh, he's hiding the Twilight Cup. Their footballers can't come out and say anything because as soon as they say that, they're criticised no matter what. So players tend to have to go with what the manager says and sort of read in between the lines. So it's always tough to understand the fault and the attitude of a player. I think Ellis talking about the trophies, I think it feels a little bit like Man United when Mourinho was at United and they had the Europa League final, won that, and they got like I think they won the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup that year as well. And the trophies are starting to mask or the potential of winning them sort of domestic trophies and Europa League, which don't get me wrong, always winning a trophy is a good thing, but I think they're starting to mask a few things that's going on at Spurs, because I think you can win 2 trophies a year and still deserve to be sacked, because Spurs aren't doing great. They aren't doing great.
Yeah.
They aren't doing
No,
great.
they're not at all. I think it's 3 points from a possible 18. But
Yeah.
he was brought in to win a trophy though.
He
Like,
was.
Yeah.
That's it. If he wins the League Cup at the end of the season, to Mourinho, that's success. He's done his job there.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
done his job. He has done his job. Don't get me wrong. I understand that, but can you see him? I think you got to look to long term. Can you see him repeating it next year? Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
Either.
How
He won't
long?
be thinking
How long does Kane stay there? Rumors are
that.
circulating.
He's gone in the summer. Mate. He's gone in the summer.
You
Do you
think
think?
in the summer?
Yeah.
There's rumors.
it.
There
I
are
think he
rumors.
has to. He has to go.
I think Ellis, you're right with Gareth Bale, very good today. I liked him. He was picking up some more central areas as well when he first came on, which when he left Spurs, if you remember, that sort of breakout, that huge season he had, he started wide and then got pushed infield. I think it would be quite nice to see, or just to sort of try it out to see how he is behind Harry Kane. As like a just off the striker sort of player. I think that would be quite enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I do.
But Spurs need to change something. Because they're in a rut and the players aren't performing probably maybe, I don't know. I was going to say the players aren't performing to the level they should be, but if you actually look at the squad, a few of the players aren't sort of, when you compare them to like a City and things like that, they ain't of a great caliber. But it's an interesting one. I was very impressed with West Ham. I thought
they're doing proper well this year.
Very good.
Mate, that Declan Rice, mate. That Declan Rice.
Mate.
He's good.
Future England captain, mate.
I wouldn't have him at Chelsea, but he's good.
He is. You see when
Absolute player.
See when Jesse scored and they all started dancing. Declan Rice is that was funny. Souček, they've got a good. I think West Ham are very similar to Everton, in the fact that their sort of starting squad is very good, but they also have a couple of players that, when depending on who's picked, that can come off from the bench. So if you look at their squad, I think it is of a very good standard. Obviously, Jesse Lingard comes from United, which is obviously a step up. So that's a bit of pedigree. Yeah. Jared Bowen, I like. Declan Rice, Souček is an absolute find from them. I think he's been very good. They've got a consistent back four who sort of know what they're doing. Obviously, 2 fullbacks that are quick and bomb on. Cresswell's got a great left foot. 2 centre backs that are just steady, which obviously for West Ham you don't need much more than that.
Yeah.
And say that again.
Ben Rama, when he came on today as well,
player.
That's what I mean. He's on the bench, so they have a little bit of quality coming off the bench as well. In a couple of players, depending on who's fit. Obviously, Mikel Antonio is an absolute handful.
Beast.
Yeah,
he's a handful, and I'm a big fan of him because obviously it's always nice. He's like of the same sort of ilk as Jamie Vardy. Obviously, hasn't hit the heights that Jamie Vardy did, but came from non-league all the way through. But even for the fact that he was a winger now converted to a striker, and he looks like he's actually a striker, you don't see him as someone playing wide, playing up top that you think is a winger now. You think Mikel Antonio is a forward. I think they're very impressive. And when I was watching the game, I don't know about you guys, but I sort of had a think about, for the last few years, the top 4 or the top 6, let's say, it looked like the gap between them and the rest of the league was getting greater and greater each year. But over the sort of last 2 seasons, I don't know, but I think maybe with COVID and everything that's sort of gone on, that gap has got a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
I think Leicester, Everton are knocking on the door now. West Ham are currently in the top 4 positions, but we're yet to see. Obviously, it's still a long way to go in the season. They could fall away, but they're sort of competing for a long period of time. Like, we're past Christmas now, and they're still in and around it. They've already hit the 40 points mark. Do you think maybe COVID has sort of had a positive impact on closing that gap between the big six and the rest of the league? Or just generally, do you think clubs have just done better with their recruitment and stuff?
I think the top teams have actually got worse. I think obviously the recruitment and the smaller clubs have caught up a little bit, but I think the level of the traditional big six has gone down, other than, like, say, City, or if we're talking over the last couple of seasons, Liverpool as well. I think the rest of them, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, have all dipped in form and just they're not as strong as they used to be.
So you think?
And I think a lot of these clubs are also going through stages right now where it's like a process kind of thing, where they need to reinvent their squads and build a team. And it seems like even like United as well, and it seems like that has dropped them down a few stages to closer to the other squads.
Aid?
No, I think Ellis is, that's all true there. But I think the likes of, like, some big names going to not the big six teams, like Ancelotti going to Everton, I think that's massive. And same with, like, Rodriguez. I think the so-called, like, bigger names going to those clubs outside the top six, I think that does make it more competitive. And obviously, if the bigger names are going to those clubs, less of them are going to the top six, so it makes it more competitive for the other teams.
I agree. I think there is definitely a noticeable, like I said, the gap has noticeably decreased between the six and the rest of the clubs, and sort of 3 or 4 teams outside it. But it's a hard one, because it might just increase again when revenues come back from gates and things like that. So it'll be an interesting one to see, but it is good. It's making the league more competitive, which was always a good thing, especially for someone like me, a neutral, to sort of watch. There's a lot of, like, when you watch them games, you're not like, oh, they're definitely going to win now. It's always a little bit more competitive. So it is a good one.
All right, no, serious question. Who would you rather in your centre midfield, Thomas Partey or N'Golo Kante?
N'Golo Kante.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
No, I asked that to someone the other day and they said Partey.
Who was that?
Yeah, but are you talking about, like, current day?
Yeah, he was an Arsenal fan, by the way.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. But are you talking about current day, or are you talking about them as a
prime
full player, like Kante, like previous years?
No, but is there any difference though? I'd still take Kante present.
Yeah.
Or
He's had a lot
something.
Partey's had a lot of injuries since he's been at Arsenal. But
all right, how about Cesc Fabregas, Mesut Ozil, Kevin De Bruyne, all in their prime? Who are you taking? One for your centre midfield.
That's so tough. That is so tough.
Right, you can't answer that.
In prime.
Prime. So Cesc Fabregas, Mesut Ozil, and Kevin De Bruyne. So Kevin De Bruyne's prime is now.
Yeah,
about now.
Cesc Fabregas' prime is probably at Arsenal. I think young Cesc.
Arsenal into Barca. I'd say Arsenal into Barca.
Okay.
I'd say that's his prime.
And Mesut Ozil prime is Madrid. Last few years at Madrid.
Yeah.
I think I love all of them.
Mate, I don't know.
I equally love all of them.
Pass.
He's passing.
Pass. They all pass, Aiden, but pick one to put in your team.
Great joke. Fantastic.
I'm inclined to go Fabregas. As I think Fabregas is what Kevin De Bruyne is now, but he just done it earlier.
Some would say that De Bruyne is actually a better version of Fabregas now, though. Oh, Aiden just lost. Yeah, got a clue.
Fabregas, I don't know.
Scrambled. My head is scrambled.
You know how we spoke last podcast about, like, nostalgia and how that's kind of sort of influences you. I don't know if I'm getting influenced by this nostalgia of Arsenal and Fabregas. When he was there and he was young, captained them, and was like literally unreal in that Arsenal centre midfield. But he used to run games for fun. Like, don't get me wrong, De
Yeah.
Bruyne does as well, but I think Fabregas can do any part of the midfield job. I think in the final third, De Bruyne and Fabregas are kind of similar. Yeah, I'm talking prime Fabregas. Obviously, he got less mobile as he got a little bit older. But at Arsenal, he was quite mobile, sort of ran in behind occasionally, like late runs into the box and for a goal and things like that. Lesser in his later years, like with you guys at Chelsea, he sort of sat. But even when he sat, he can control the
Still
game
bust it. Yeah.
a little bit better than De Bruyne. De Bruyne can do that to an unbelievable level, but I prefer De Bruyne higher up. But Fabregas, I could see playing sort of as a 6, an 8, or a 10.
Yeah.
De Bruyne, I see more.
Do you see De Bruyne dropping further back as the years go on? I do. I think it's very close between those two, and I think you have to. Well, for me personally, I'll look at the trophies won, and just Cesc Fabregas's trophy cabinet solidifies it for me.
Joke.
Yeah, it's true. But again, so you can argue that's more like a team-based thing where De Bruyne's happier. The thing is, there's so much circumstance around who the player plays for. Like, Fabregas was at Barca, moved to Arsenal as a young boy. If he grew up at Arsenal, he probably properly, and he never had that tie to Barcelona, would he have ever left? Where De Bruyne didn't have that tie, he had it with Genk, but it's Genk. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
He had to move, and now he's found that with City. So
don't be talking bad about Genk, yeah.
Produce some talent.
Produce some talent, mate.
They have. But then again, I think for me, Fabregas.
Origi.
Divock, what a player.
Oh.
I'd go Fabregas. What about you, Ellis? You go Fabregas?
Yeah, I go Cesc. Aiden?
Go Ozil. Go for the one that hasn't been mentioned. No, yeah. Cesc Fabregas.
Some of Ozil's assists, especially at Real Madrid, are some of them are unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
But then
that's hard. It's a hard question, man. Don't like that.
That's why we do this podcast, Aiden, to answer
hard questions. You say even at Arsenal, he's had some great assists, and I 100% agree with that. Like, first few years he was at Arsenal, I thought he was unreal, and I was so hoping that he would have his Real Madrid form like consistently for his time. Obviously, we now know that there was a drop off, but a lot of people see him sort of as a little bit of a flop, because he didn't hit the heights that he probably should have. People say that he did underperform for the Gunners. Now, it leads us on to a good segment. I like my segments. Sort of Premier League flops. They're obviously, the Premier League is the most attractive league in the world. So if you're given the opportunity, well, I think it is. Obviously, some people might agree. There are clubs in other countries that hold a bigger allure, but generally, as a league, I think if you're asked to come to the Premier League, there's a good chance that you're going to come if it's a top team. Premier League flops. Have we got any off the top of our heads? Who do we think is sort of one of the Premier League's biggest flops? Because there's been a lot. Ellis, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, there has been quite a few, hasn't there? Who am I going to go for? I'm going to start off with Andrei Shevchenko for Chelsea. He came at in his prime, and it just didn't click for him like everyone thought it was going to. And big price fee came along with Michael Ballack, and Ballack impressed and performed well, but Shevchenko just never reached the height that he was supposed to, or that he was at Milan. So Shevchenko is going to be there.
That's like every Abramovich signing, isn't it? They never reached the potential. Surely he's got to realise at some point that.
Hold on, you said that when we produced Hazard, and Hazard as well.
No, but did Abramovich sign him? Chelsea historically have had some signings signed by the club and some signings where Abramovich has like said, "This is who we're buying."
That was an Abramovich signing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Kai
they
Havertz
tend.
was as well.
Say that again.
Kai Havertz was as well, apparently.
And they tend not to work out them ones. So Andrei
Give
Shevchenko,
the boy time. He's gonna produce.
So Shevchenko flop. Yep, I would agree with that one. Aid, got any?
I'd say he's not as big a flop, but I'd say Robinho for the player that he was hyped up to be coming to City. Didn't really produce.
Yeah, came in as the marquee signing and then scored in his debut, and then that was it, really, weren't it? Well,
done a couple flip flaps.
Hey, he was outshined by another Brazilian in the Man City team, Elano. Do you remember Elano?
Yeah, he used to smack him from about 40 yards, top bins.
He was outshined by him. Premier League flops, you've also got Falcao. Obviously, he came to Chelsea and United.
Yeah,
didn't work out. Obviously, he was a little bit past his prime, but that didn't work out. Big one at Man United is Bebe, the Portuguese winger.
Yeah, that goes down as one of the biggest, I think.
Has to be one of the biggest. But
what about another one at Man United, Memphis Depay.
Memphis Depay. I don't think it was ever going to work with Van Gaal.
Don't you find it weird how like players flop in England and then they go somewhere else and then they play well? I just find that's weird, isn't it? Or does it just show how good the Premier League is?
I think it shows you how good the Premier League is. Because you can see, I think it's the intensity of the Premier League they can't cope with.
Yeah, could be. I think it's a tough one. We spoke about it, didn't we, on the first podcast, I think, about players adapting to the league and things like that.
Yeah.
And just circumstance and manager and systems. And obviously, as you said, the Premier League is probably like the fastest league in the world, toughest league in the world. So it could be that as well. But
Fernando Torres was a flop. Andy Carroll.
Big Andy, 35 million. Ridiculous price tag.
That was
Ponytail Andy.
Who else?
Was that a club record fee? I think it was,
Club?
Yeah, it was. It was at the time, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think Suarez had the record and then like hours later, Andy Carroll or something like that.
Yeah. So
Andy Carroll more expensive than Luis Suarez.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
Mental that.
Yeah, but talking about Luis Suarez, do you think that's mental? What about Arsenal trying to activate his release clause and only bidding £1 over it?
That is absolutely outrageous.
No, you know what? That literally sums up Arsenal. It literally sums them up. It literally sums them up to a T. That.
But you say that, yes, you say that, but Liverpool actually
don't say it's good business or something.
No, it's not good business. But Liverpool actually done like it was illegal what they done because they refused Arsenal to have contact with Luis Suarez. But when you have a release clause in your contract, if they even just bid 40 million, they'd have to accept it. So bidding that £1 extra was enough for them to warrant a sit down with the player, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
So as much as everyone laughs about it, it's 40 million plus and £1.
It's just wrong.
They shouldn't have to pay more than that. Do you get what I mean? It's in a contract. So I get what they mean. Who else has flopped in the Premier League? Arsenal must have some.
Arsenal 11.
You say the whole team? Lacazette.
Willian, big flop.
Lacazette came in.
Lacazette, yeah. Pepe.
72 million. I'm thinking the older ones under like Wenger. Yaya Sanogo. Shocking.
Nicholas Bentner.
Yeah. What the world's best player?
He's played for some of the top clubs.
Yeah, mate.
Morata at Chelsea.
Morata.
He came in. God, there's a running theme here with Chelsea and their signings, isn't there?
Yeah. Trial and error.
Trial and error.
Take them all.
Kepa's one.
There had been some huge flops in the league, but off the top of my head now, I'm trying to think of them. Diego Forlan.
Outside the league, Coutinho. Poor guy.
You mean going from the Prem to abroad? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the
Poor-
he's in the news at the moment, isn't he? Because he's injured at the moment, don't get me wrong, but there's reports that Barca obviously are in so much financial trouble that they're not going to play him for a period of time, even when he is fit, because I think if he plays 5 more times for Barcelona, they owe Liverpool an add-on to the fee, and they just don't want to pay it. So
Wow.
Barcelona is another club the way they run that club, Barcelona.
it's shocking.
You hear all the stories like Suarez, Neymar, Rakitic.
Yeah, why letting go of Suarez and he's the league joint top goal scorer of Messi? They're looking back on that now, thinking surely he went for like 8 million or something. Some stupid
cheap
money.
cheap.
Stupid money.
Bargain.
Hold on a minute. Talking about Suarez at Atletico Madrid, Diego Costa's a free agent still, isn't he?
Yeah.
Surely someone's going to pick him up.
They have to.
Are they though?
Could you not see him at like Arsenal?
Yeah, that's retirement home.
Yeah, for Chelsea.
Chelsea's retirement home.
Hey, they might as well take him to finish off to finish it off. Hold on a minute. Sorry to interrupt you. Just thinking about that. Arsenal have at the moment David Luiz, Willian. Who else has played for Chelsea?
No, that's it.
That's it. Okay, but
they had Czech.
They had Czech. Historically, Gallas.
Yeah.
Yossi Benayoun was a Chelsea player. Went to Arsenal. Obviously, Nicholas Anelka was Arsenal to Chelsea, and then you obviously took Ashley Cole. I'm telling you, you lot get the better deals off them than they get off you.
That's what happens when you're the best team in London.
Oh, claret and blue, best team in London.
No, come on now.
Just sort of looking at the Prem, yeah. Let's just sort of keep it local and moving away from the flops. Who do you think is the best player in the Prem from a homegrown English player? So not a foreign export coming into the league, but who do you think is the best player? Now, Aiden, I'm not coming to you because I'm not going to say. He's nodding his head already. He's going to say Frank Lampard. But
his name has to be mentioned. Come on now.
Don't worry, it will be mentioned.
Right. You mention it. I won't mention it.
Ellis, we'll start. No, go on, Aid. Give us your case for Frankie Lamps.
Chelsea all-time top goal scorer, Premier League highest midfielding scorer. Mate, he's a joke. Absolute baller. That's my case. Full stop.
Rest it.
End the call now. End the call now. We're done.
Thing.
Mate, baller.
Ellis, what do you think? There's obviously a lot of players in the mix. Who would you say? Now, actually, I'm going to expand. Before I move on to you, I'm going to actually expand the field. So it doesn't just have to be English. It just has to be homegrown. So they have to have a homegrown status, which means Cesc Fabregas comes into that because he played for Arsenal.
No, but he's...
What?
See?
In the Prem, though. It has to be in the Premier League.
Oh, in the
Prem. No, but Fabregas, he was in the Barcelona academy.
Yeah, but he has.
We're having this conversation in the first place. Wayne Rooney is number one.
Yeah, I was going to say Rooney as well.
Wayne Rooney, who can compete?
Gerrard.
I think Gerrard competes.
You know, Wayne Rooney is Gerrard hasn't even won a Premier League. He's not in there.
Doesn't matter. It's about the individual player.
Oh no, nah, not for me.
I think Gerrard
I think Wayne Rooney is very underrated. You know, I don't think he gets talked about enough. How good of a player he actually was.
Yeah.
Like when he walked out the tunnel with that completely bald, like not even just
skinhead Rooney.
Off,
yeah,
and the sun was shining like that. I knew it was over. It was over.
Anger management Rooney was different gravy.
Different gravy.
No, it was the kit. It was the kit with the black Nike bit of that.
With the black gloves,
and then the white tape. The white tape around the sock.
T90s.
The T90s.
The white and black T90s.
If I'm in the tunnel and he's opposite me, I'm getting in the showers now. There's no point of me stepping on the pitch.
I agree. I think Rooney is underrated. I think he No, I don't know why he doesn't get talked about as much as he did, because one, when he came through, he was extremely talented, and then he was super successful. No way you look about it.
Yeah.
England top goal scorer, all time, up there with Premier League.
He's
all-
he's Man United as well, isn't he?
yeah, Man
Man
United
United's top
all
goal
time
scorer. Yeah,
Prem goal scorer, up there with like the
That's a
Premier
great record,
League.
by the way.
It
great
is
record.
good player.
Great.
But I just the way Aiden looked to Lampard, I looked to Gerrard. I just think I think he was the complete midfielder. I personally think he's better than Lampard as a midfielder. I think he
Oh,
does everything.
Whoa! Stop! Hold it right there.
The
Hold
only
it
thing
right there.
Lampard beats him on, is his goal scoring record, and obviously he won the Premier League more. But
titles in general.
Titles.
okay, but this is what I mean.
He ain't got enough hands. He's not got enough hands to hold them, Ryan.
Okay, but you're comparing individual players, but then you're bringing in team accolades. Now, Gerrard, like I said, circumstances kept him at Liverpool. Obviously, he wanted to leave, decided to stay with his boyhood club. You can't hold that against him. It's not his fault Liverpool were poor. The boy done wonders for that club. He started the Champions League comeback. Got them. He won 2 Champions Leagues with them. And then when you actually look at the individual accolades, if you go and look at the individual accolades, like from a player to player basis, Gerrard wins more than Lampard. He got he got FIFA Player of the Year, didn't he?
You know what Gerrard's going to be known for?
The slip.
Oh, Gerrard slips. Oh, Demba Ba.
Oh, Demba Ba's through. Oh, Gerrard slips.
And then Mourinho's running down the touchline in his body warmer. But then you also pretty much I thought the 3 players we mentioned would come up if I asked that question. I think Scholes might get thrown into
I was
there.
just gonna say Scholes.
Do you not rate Paul Scholes?
I do. I think Paul Scholes.
You don't rate him?
I think Paul Scholes is a player.
No, Ellis. Get someone else on this call. Get someone else on the call.
I'm not really into a sideways passer.
Sideways passer. You need to go back and watch Paul Scholes, mate.
Nothing special to me.
That's outrageous. Paul Scholes is a player.
Say it.
The boy dictated football better than any other English centre midfielder, better than Gerrard, better than Lampard, anything. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Gerrard's better than him, but Lampard... Joe Allen, he's not even English. He's Welsh. I think Scholes is a player, and this is something that does bug me, You know, a lot of people don't give Scholes the respect, and a lot of people don't give Ryan Giggs the respect that he deserves. There's a lot.
Don't forget Carrick as well.
Yeah, Carrick is a player, but there's levels.
No, come on, he was a baller.
He was a baller. Don't get me wrong.
Ryan Giggs is overrated as well.
Oh my god,
Ellis.
Giggs is overrated, mate.
You know what?
No.
I'm going to insert that Roy Keane clip where he goes, seriously? Are you being serious?
Oh, really? No? It's
oh, Jamie, no.
It's going to be like,
Jamie, no.
No.
You're not putting Giggs in.
Ryan Giggs is a player, a serious player. I'm not having this. I will hang up this call.
Compared to who?
No.
Okay, on the left wing, are you having Giggs in his prime or Mane in his prime?
Giggs is a player.
Right.
Giggs is a player.
Giggs over Mane? Nah,
100%.
I don't think so.
100%.
I don't think so, mate.
100%. That guy.
What?
Who are you having? Giggs or Mane?
Well, Giggs in his prime. Don't think I was born yet, so I can't.
Hey, it don't even matter. The Giggs you would have.
Yeah, no, Giggs is an absolute player.
Giggs, Hey, I can't believe this. Nah, I can't believe this, Ellis. You're telling me you don't rate Scholes or Giggs?
I don't rate them as like world class, like as people do. I think people rate these people like world class.
Yeah, but how I don't understand that, because Giggs was in arguably one of the best teams of their time.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Consistently.
We're talking about individuals, not team accolades,
Okay.
right?
Okay, but yeah, but that's what I mean. So I get what you say there, but Giggs was a mainstay in that team. Like Gerrard could have left Liverpool, taking it from the context that I said, and probably still gone into like he had offers from Chelsea. He would have gone into a Chelsea team, 100%. It might not have worked out. You don't know that, but he would have at least got minutes from the get go. He had Madrid after him. Do you get what I mean? Giggs was in that Man United team, like captain for a bit, consistent basis with one of the best managers in the world. Like he can't have just been like a placeholder. Like
And one of the best clubs in the world at the time.
Yeah, he was key to that. He was one of the key players in that United team.
If you look at stats, they're not that great. They're not that
but I
impressive.
don't.
Individual stats and like in terms of like other players that played in that position, I think Giggs is overrated in that sense. So I'll probably get a lot of stick for it, in the comments below. If you want to give me a bit of stick, go and give it in the comments below. but if you support me, put some players below that you would think would play left mid better than Giggsy.
You know what? We're gonna do a one-off video, where we rank our players. We'll do a top 10 video, and because I'll be intrigued.
Premier League all-time 11.
Yeah, we can do a Prem all-time 11, and we can do like a top 10 of like best players in the world and stuff like that. We'll do that because I think that's always an interesting one. But I know because this always comes up that Giggs' output was poor from the sort of player he was and the sort of name he is. His output was poor. I get that, but you can be a top player and have a low output. Iniesta didn't score or assist for like 2 seasons in a row. He didn't score for 2 seasons in a row. So you're going to tell me Iniesta was poor for like at any period in his career?
No, mate, he's class.
Exactly. See what I mean? So there are slightly.
What about Xavi?
Love him.
Mate, you know what Xavi said about Scholes?
Yeah.
One of the best centre mids of all time.
That's not true.
What are you talking about? Xavi said Scholes is one of the best.
I read that on some Instagram post as well, mate. But
all right then. Last thing we'll talk about before we wrap it up, boys. So don't go on for too long. Is staying on the topic of sort of the comparisons, who's best, who's not. Let's move it away from players and go managerial. Yeah, we'll go managerial.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm intrigued to see this. Your top 3 managers of all time. Let me just clarify. So, who is your top 3? Can be in any league managers of all time.
Got it.
Go on then, Aid, because Ellis is doing a Google search.
Sir Alex.
Is this in
Mourinho.
order?
No, not in order.
Okay.
Do you want me to do it in order? All right then.
Yeah, do it in order, please, mate. Yeah.
Come on, be professional.
Okay. It's close first and second, really close. Pep, Sir Alex, Mourinho.
Pep, Sir Alex, Mourinho.
Yeah.
They're the 3 standard ones, aren't they? Ellis, you good to go?
Of all time. In order.
In order, please. Yes, please. Professional here.
Okay, coming in at in third place.
He's always got to go the other way, isn't
he? He's got to make it a bit.
First, you build up. You build some tension. In third place. Should I play it safe or should I be a bit different?
Dude, it has to be.
Who have you got?
In third place, I'm going to go for Arrigo Sacchi of AC Milan. Aiden doesn't have a Scooby Doo.
He ain't got a clue.
Not a clue, mate. Don't know who you said that.
Arrigo Sacchi, just because his influence in Italian football, like his philosophy was, what's the word I'm looking for?
Before his time.
Evolutionary, like high line. Like if you watch some of his teams on YouTube and stuff, you'll see some of the tactics are they're a bit out there and crazy, but it was class at AC Milan with that team. Second place, I'll go.
I thought we had froze then.
Second place, I will go. I've got to go Pep. Pep Guardiola. Oh, mate, am I really doing this to Mourinho? Oh, no. Pep Guardiola in second place. And
There's only one to go top.
yeah, I'm going to have to go Sir Alex Ferguson, if I'm just being honest with myself. So Alex Ferguson, number one. Just the longevity, consistency. You see so many managers last 3 years at clubs and then they dip off and they have to move on. For that guy to be at the same club for 25 or however long it was, 25 years.
And to be at the best.
And be consistent, title after title. The only thing I would say is 2 Champions Leagues in that time is a bit, but apart to be consistent, like domestically, that's a great achievement for him. So I'll go for him.
I agree. I think obviously I'm gonna follow Ellis's suit. First has to be Fergie for me. So obviously me and Ellis went Fergie top, Aiden went Pep. Just again, longevity, the way he that we spoke about earlier, kept that Man United team fresh and at the top of. They only ever really dropped down to like second. They were always, in my eyes, either first or second best in the league.
Yeah.
There was never a massive drop off to fourth or fifth like you see now with teams. And to do that is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And if you actually look at his squads, there were some years where you look at him now and think, that ain't a great squad. Like, don't get me wrong, they had some major stars. Like Rooney was there for a long time. They had Ronaldo, Van Persie. But what was around them to get what he got out of the players was ridiculous. Second, I go Pep. Has to be Pep. He has to be in the question. And if he continues to do what he does now for like at least a few more years, he'll take Fergie over, no doubt. What he done at Barca, like you said, with the AC Milan manager, revolutionized football for me. Like I had never seen a club do what they had done like Barca, and that was all down to him. I'm not having none of that. It was the players that were there. It was, don't get me wrong, they had a great squad. They had a great squad, but without Pep, they wouldn't have done it to the extent that they did.
Mate, no one knew Xavi. No one knew who Xavi was. He was like 28, 29 years old. And then Pep came in and had him playing like
Xavi.
Better than Paul Scholes.
Third is a tough one. There's so many managers that are out there. But I'm going to go with a left field one here that, considering where he's at now, you might not think.
He's going to say Brendan Rodgers.
No.
No, he's going to say Carlo Ancelotti.
Carlo Ancelotti.
Yay!
His AC Milan team were very good. Very good. And I'm a big fan of Ancelotti. I think what he does with his team.
Yeah.
First manager I ever saw. Don't get me wrong, he might not have been the first manager to do this, but the first manager I ever saw play that diamond that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago on the pod. First manager I ever saw play a diamond in midfield, and I thought that was huge. And the way he sort of manages his team, he's hyper successful at most clubs that he goes to. Obviously, it might not come to fruition at Everton because it's a different ball game. But when he's at the top clubs, they win. And they win in quite a nice way. They don't sort of just get grind out results. So I would think I'd go Ancelotti third for me, just like off the top of my head. But
it's mad that none of us said Mourinho. I
think that's a bit crazy. Aiden said Mourinho.
I said
third.
Oh, yeah, he's okay. Third.
Oh, good job, Aiden. Good job.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers. I think Mourinho's a great manager. We didn't know. You know what? I might have to go back on my word. I'm not stick Mourinho in there. I might have to double back and put Arsene Wenger third. I think I'm going to put Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, he was.
Because
he was in my mind.
What he done?
No, Wenger was in my mind. Yeah.
What he done early with Arsenal, the league hadn't seen it. Even with
not good enough to get in top 3 though, right? Come on.
I love Wenger. I love him. I do. I just have a tie to him. I love him. I'm reading his book at the moment. It might be because of that. But
That's why.
No, but he was so ahead of his time with like the way what he brought into the club. Like there was that drinking culture at Arsenal.
Yeah.
He brought in the sports science background. He tapped into a market that the league hadn't seen before. The players he brought to the league in Thierry, Van Persie, and the likes of that Ashley Cole came through under him. He went and done the league undefeated, which is a tough ask. Like,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, he didn't produce a Champions League, the last few years at Arsenal or the last decade or so sort of slipped. But when you actually listen to him, you can sort of see it might not have necessarily been his fault. He had to look after the club's budget, which is a big excuse. I know that, but it is it's a fact. So I think it's close between Wenger and Ancelotti for me. But I think just out of ties to the manager, I'd go Wenger third now, just because I don't know why I completely forgot about him. But unless you don't have
Wenger he has to get mentioned.
Yeah, he does. If there's anything else you don't want to talk about, we've got about 5 minutes left, or are you good to finish up here?
All right. Terry Carvalho or Vidic Rio? Who you got? What partnership?
Terry Rio.
No, he didn't
Terry...
even mention that one. I would go. That's so hard. It's so hard.
I'm going Terry Carvalho.
I would go Terry Carvalho, greatest ever partnership in Premier League history. I'm talking throughout midfielders, attackers, anything. Those two are the best partnership in Premier League history. That's what I'm going for.
What, out of all the partnerships?
Not having that. Should I tell you
who's better? What's a better partnership? Don't be telling me Harry Kane and Song or
Crouch and Defoe.
Oh, mate, dangerous that was.
Dangerous. Gerard Torres. Before Torres moved on.
Never won a Premier League.
Lampard Drogba.
Yeah, I love however we talk about Liverpool or Gerrard, you just go, never won a Premier League.
Didn't win a league.
I think, going back to the original question, I think I might be inclined to go Terry Carvalho, just because Rio was great, Vidic were great, but Vidic had a few flaws. Don't get me wrong, but all of them have flaws. But Terry and Carvalho in that Chelsea team under Mourinho, whoa, that's ridiculous.
Scary.
Terry's got no flaws, by the way, mate. Terry's got no flaws.
None. Absolutely none.
Apart from he got ripped by Kem from Love Island in that charity.
Yeah, but then Vidic got done by Torres.
Actually, after that, I'm going for Rio. I'm going Rio and Vidic.
The Prem have had some great partnerships though, but because you got going back, you got Shearer and Sutton as a partnership.
Oh yeah.
You got Dwight York, Andy Cole, Teddy Sheringham, and all them United strikers when they used to have 4 a season. Sheringham.
You got Di Santo and Kone from Wigan.
what a pair.
No, mate, that Wigan team was good.
They were in the bottom 3. Tap the badge, 8. When they're in the bottom 3, past Christmas.
Ben Watson centre midfield.
Yeah, he scored the FA Cup final winner. There have been some great partnerships. Even Spurs had Crouch and Van der Vaart for a season. Do you remember that? Used to be head down, Van der Vaart used to just strike it, goal. What else? Bergkamp, Henry, probably the best ever.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah,
they're not bad.
They're not bad.
You know what's interesting though? You don't have
I got it.
Drinkwater and Kante.
No, that was a good one. I was going to say Darren Bent and the Beach Ball. Great partnership.
Very wrong. Can't miss.
Great.
Other than obviously I said Drinkwater and Kante, just quickly before we finish up, is there a centre mid partnership that was long term unreal? I don't think there is. You had Vieira. Who did Vieira play alongside? Vieira.
Oh, Gilberto Silva.
Yeah, and Gilberto Silva.
That was pretty decent.
Scholes Carrick.
Yeah, Ellis ain't a fan of Scholes. But that wasn't.
Or Carrick.
That wasn't that wasn't too consistent for the whole. You know what I mean? But no, it's an interesting.
How about Lampard and Essien?
Essien, great player. Could be.
Great player.
That could be the one I was looking for, but I don't think they're better than Drinkwater or Kante, let's be honest.
No one's better than them.
Right, boys, we'll wrap it up there. Been a good podcast again. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for coming, boys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Been a pleasure.
For those that are listening, obviously drop your partnerships down below. players that you think probably are the best in the league, if you think Gerrard's better than Lampard, or if Scholes is the best of them all. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Lampard.